Everyone in the room went silent when she entered. Commander Varel, tall and silent, with silver skin that shimmered like steel, walked with perfect posture. Her eyes were sharp, glowing with blue light. No one had ever seen her laugh. Said she had no feelings at all. He called her the ice blade of the stars. Captain Rain had heard the rumors. He stood straight, his hands behind his back, as the alien commander approached the central war table. Their two species had fought bloody battles in the past, but now they stood side by side in a fragile alliance. The room was filled with soldiers. It's both human and alien, but it felt like only two people existed, Drain and Varel. She didn't greet him, didn't even nod. Her gaze scanned his face like a scanner reading a weapon. "You are the one they sent?" she said finally, her voice cool, but not mechanical. "I am," Rain replied without blinking. She stared at him a moment longer, then looked down at the table. A holographic map lit up between them, showing enemy movement in the Arden system. She began talking about strategy, numbers, ships, and probabilities. Her voice was calm, her tone exact. Every sentence was a calculation. But Rain wasn't watching the map. He was watching her eyes, and her eyes, for just a second, glanced at him, not the map, not the enemy positions, but at him. It wasn't curiosity. It wasn't anger. It was something he couldn't name. He waited for her to finish. When she did, the others began to ask questions. She answered with sharp, perfect logic. Rain didn't speak. He just listened. But she noticed after the meeting ended, the room cleared. One by one, everyone left, until only the two of them remained. Rain was turning to go when her voice stopped him. "Wait," she said. He looked back.
Ow.
She stepped around the table and walked closer than she needed to. "You were different," she said. "You didn't try to prove anything. You didn't challenge me." "I'm not here to challenge you," Rain said. "I'm here to learn how you lead." A long pause. Then she reached into her coat and took out a small device. Sleek silver. Communicator with alien markings. "This is for emergencies," she said, placing it in his hand. "But if you receive a message from this, come alone." Rain looked down at the device, then back up, but she was already turning away. That night, in his quarters, Rain couldn't sleep. He had faced giant beasts, lost comrades, survived crashes, but this felt stranger than all of it. Her voice kept echoing in his mind, that cold, commanding voice, but something beneath it was calling to him then. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the device lit up. One word appeared in soft alien script. Rain stared at it.
Ow.
No alarm, no instructions. Just a single word. He dressed quickly, grabbed his jacket, and slipped through the silent halls of the alien flagship. The corridors were quiet, lit only by blue light strips. Guards didn't stop him. No cameras followed him. It was as if she had cleared the path ahead. He reached a tall door with an unfamiliar symbol. It opened before he touched it. Inside, the room looked nothing like the cold metal halls outside. The walls were soft-colored, glowing faintly. There was no war map here, no weapons, only quiet. And Commander Varel, no armor, no weapons, standing. In a long, dark robe, her silver skin glowing gently in the low light, Rain stopped. His training told him this was wrong. This was not protocol. This was something else. "You came," she said softly. "You asked," he replied. She stepped forward just a little. "Do you still expect coldness from me, Captain?" "Answer right away." He looked into her eyes, those sharp, bright eyes that now held something. "Different. I don't know what to expect," he said truthfully. She smiled only a little, just enough to break the image the galaxy had known her by. Then perhaps she said, "You are the first one worth speaking to without armor." The door closed behind them, and the war was silent for now. Rain moved through the silent corridors of the alien warship, each step echoing like a secret. The communicator in his hand still glowed softly, showing that single word, no coordinates. No voice, no explanation. He passed tall guards. With silver armor and blank faces, none of them stopped him. No one questioned why a human walked alone at this hour. It was like someone had cleared the entire path for him. And deep inside, Rain knew exactly who had done it. He reached the door. With the strange symbol again, it opened without a sound. This time the light inside was even softer. No weapons, no war maps, no armor. Commander Varel stood near a small table, dressed in a robe of midnight blue, her silver skin catching the gentle light like liquid metal. She was not the cold figure from the war room. She was something else, now still powerful, still unreadable but more real. Rayn hesitated in the doorway. "You entered a room full of weapons without fear," she said, turning her head slightly. "But now, you hesitate in a room with only one soul." Rain stepped inside, the door closing quietly behind him. "I don't know the rules here," he said. "There are none tonight," she replied. She motioned toward the seat across from her. He sat. The table between them held 2 glass cups, filled with a glowing blue liquid. Varel pushed one toward him. "Drink," she said. "It's not poison." Rain raised it slowly, tasted it. It was warm, slightly sweet. And unlike anything he'd had before, Varel sipped hers and watched him carefully. "You expected me to be cold," she said, her voice calmer now, no longer clipped and sharp. "Yes," Rain admitted. "Because I trained myself to be," she said. "Because it was the only way to survive among my kind." Rain tilted his head slightly. "Why me? Why call me here?" She stood, walked slowly to the wall, and pressed her hand. Against a panel, a drawer opened, and she pulled out a small object, an old photograph. She placed it in front of him. It was faded, torn at the edges, and human. A younger man in an Earth soldier's uniform stood beside a crashed alien craft. His smile was crooked. His arms slung around the shoulder of a silver-skinned figure. Her Rain stared. "That's you." Varel nodded. "Before I became what I am now." Rain looked up, eyes searching hers. "I crashed on a jungle moon during a battle," she said. "My squad died. I was hunted by beasts and bleeding when a human found me." She paused. "He saved me, fed me, protected me. He called me Stargirl and never once asked for anything in return." "What happened to him?" Rain asked quietly. "He died protecting me," she said. "He stood between me and a falling ship." Rain leaned back, absorbing her words. "Since then," she continued, "I buried that part of myself. Became cold, strong, feared, but then I saw you." Rain blinked. "Me. You didn't challenge me, didn't try to impress me," she said. "You listened. That's rare among your kind and mine." Rain placed the photo down gently. "Why show me this now?" Varel walked closer, standing across from him. "Because my people are watching. They think I've grown soft. If they suspect more, they'll kill you." He didn't flinch. "And why invite me?" She lowered her head slightly. "Because I wanted to remember that I'm still alive. And I wanted someone to see me without the armor." Rain looked at her, really looked. Not the warrior, not the commander, but the woman who had once laughed beside a human on a jungle moon. "What do you want from me?" he asked softly. "I don't know yet," she replied. "But for the first time in years, I want something. That scares me more than war." Silence filled the room again, but not the cold silence from before. It was warm, heavy, real. Varel reached for a crystal shard and placed it in his hand. "If you ever feel in danger," she said, "break this. It will call me instantly. No matter where I am, I'll come." Walked to the door and opened it. "This was never supposed to happen," she said, "but now it has." Rain stepped out, pausing for just a second. "You're not as cold as they say," he said. She looked back, her eyes gleaming faintly. "You haven't seen the fire yet, Captain?" The door shut behind him, and Rain knew this war was about to change, and not just on the battlefield. Captain Rain sat in his private quarters, staring at the photo Varel had secretly given him. The image was old, worn, but still powerful. It showed her younger self smiling, softer standing, beside a human man in a jungle setting. They looked like friends, or maybe more. It was hard to believe this was the same cold alien commander everyone feared. He had questions burning in his mind, but no answers. Then the communicator buzzed again, no sound, just one glowing symbol. It meant meet, but in an off-ship location. Not recorded, not official, dangerous. Rain didn't hesitate. He met her on a quiet moon, beside an abandoned outpost left from the early days of the war. It was dusty, dark, and hidden beneath layers of snow and silence. It's a perfect place for secrets. She was already inside. Standing beside a broken console, her eyes watching a flickering projection of a distant star. "You came," she said without. "Turning, you knew I would," he replied. She turned then, and in her hands was something wrapped in cloth. She offered it to him. He unwrapped it slowly. It was a journal, bound in cracked leather. Inside were human writings, sketches, and personal notes. He read a name written on the first page. "Lt. Marcus Hale, that was him," Varel said. "The man who saved me." Rain looked at her. "He wasn't supposed to," she continued. "I was the enemy. He found me bleeding under a tree and chose not to shoot." "What happened between you two?" Rain asked. "He hid me, fed me, called me Firefly, and told me about Earth," she said. Half ready to laugh, even in danger, Rain turned the page. There were drawings of her, one smiling, one sleeping, one standing beside a small fire, all made by human hands. "He loved you," Rain said quietly. "I didn't understand it at the time," she admitted. "I thought he was just being kind. But now, looking back, I think I loved him too." She walked toward a broken chair and sat. "But he died," she said, her voice lower. "He shielded me from a blast when his ship was under attack. I carried his body back to my people. They didn't thank me, but they erased the records." Rain closed the journal gently. "That's why you act cold," he said, "so no one gets close." "I couldn't lose again," she replied. "Not like that. Not after Marcus." The room fell silent. The snow outside beat softly against the cracked windows. Rain looked at her, really looked. This wasn't a commander. Oh, this was a woman who had carried a hidden pain for years. But "I see him in you," she said suddenly. Rain blinked. "You have the same quiet strength," she said. "You don't speak more than needed. But when you do, you say what matters." She stood again, walking toward him. "I didn't invite you to just share memories," she said. "I invited you because something is changing in me, and I need to know if it's safe." Rain's voice was steady. "Safe to feel again?" She nodded slowly. "I'm not Marcus," he said. "I know," she replied. "But you make me want to remember what it was like to be warm." He placed the journal on the table. "You don't have to hide anymore," he said. "Not from me." Her expression shifted just slightly, but it was enough. The strongest woman in the galaxy, the one who crushed rebellions with a single command, had just let someone into her guarded world. A sudden noise echoed outside. Both turned, alert. "Drone patrol," she said, her voice tense. "We can't be seen together, not here." Rain reached for his helmet, ready to run, but she stopped him. "Take the journal. It belongs to his kinder kind." He held it. Close, nodding. Before leaving, she stepped forward closer than ever before. She didn't kiss him. She didn't touch him. But she looked into his eyes and said one word. "Remember?" Then she turned away, and the commander returned to her shadows. Rain walked back into the snow. The journal pressed against his chest. Knowing now that the cold alien commander was only cold on the outside and inside her heart. A fire had been waiting for someone to return. The stars outside the human cruiser shimmered peacefully, but Captain Rain knew peace was a lie. He stood at the viewing deck, the journal of Marcus Hale hidden under his uniform. His thoughts weren't on the Alliance or the next mission. They were on her. Commander Varel hadn't sent another message since the snow moon. Weeks passed. Orders kept coming. Missions continued. But her voice still echoed in his head. "Remember." Then came the signal. It was not from her communicator. It was from a relay station, buried in the coded layer only Varel could access. The message wasn't words, it was a tone, a single pulse, designed to be missed by most systems. Rain froze when he heard it. The pattern matched one thing only. Heartbeat of a threatened commander? He rushed to the secure chamber and scanned the system. The signal came from Varel's command ship, the Nathira Blade, but she wasn't on board. The signal was traced to a neutral zone outpost deep in the Orsak Belt, a place known for diplomatic talks and ambushes. He didn't wait for clearance. He took a stealth pod and left before anyone could stop him. As he landed near the outpost, he saw the signs of a struggle: crushed grass, scorch marks, and blood, Lillian blood, silver blue and still warm. He ran toward the building inside. He found her. Varel was crouched beside a broken wall, one leg bleeding, her pulse weak but steady. She didn't look surprised to see him. "I told you not to come unless it was real," she said, trying to stand. Rain knelt beside her. "You gave the signal." "I gave it because I wanted to know if you'd still listen," she said, her eyes burning. "They found out who, my own counsel," she said. "They traced my visits, my messages. They think I've been compromised." "Have you?" he asked. She met his gaze. "Yes, but not in the way they think." He tore a strip from his coat and wrapped her wound tightly. "We need to get out of here," he said. "There's no time," she whispered. "They sent hunters, elite ones, not to bring me back, but to silence me." Rain pulled out the shard she had once given. "Imth the one meant to call her in danger?" He crushed it between his fingers. Within seconds, a small emergency beacon in her armor lit up. A transport vessel hidden above the clouds received the signal. Rescue would come, but not fast enough. Footsteps echoed outside. Shadows moved past broken glass. "They're close," she said. Rain helped her to her feet, guiding her to the back corridor. But before they could leave, the door opened. 3 armored warriors stepped in, their weapons drawn. Rain pushed her. Behind him, "I don't want to kill anyone," he said. The lead warrior raised his blade. "Then you chose the wrong female to love human." Varel pushed past Rain, even with her injury. Her voice was steel. "If you touch him, I'll tear your heart from your chest," she growled. They paused. No one moved. Then, one of them stepped forward, and suddenly a blinding light filled the room. The emergency extraction vessel had arrived. A beam shot down through the ceiling, vaporizing the wall behind them. Rain pulled Varel through the smoke and into the lift field. They shot upward into the hidden shuttle. As the doors closed, he looked down at the warriors below, but they didn't chase. They simply watched, their faces hidden behind cold helmets inside the shuttle. Varel leaned against the wall, her breathing steady again. "You risked everything," she said. "So did you," he replied. "You'll be hunted too," she said. "Your command will question you. Earth may never trust you again." Rain nodded. "Then they never really trusted me at all." She touched his chest, right over the pocket where Marcus's journal still rested. "I thought I buried this part of me with him," she whispered. "But you've dug it out. Now I can't pretend anymore." Rain met her gaze. "Then don't." Stars outside weren't peaceful anymore. They were waiting for war, for betrayal, or for something neither side could stop. Because now the galaxy knew Commander Varel had broken a sacred rule, and she had done it for a human. And that meant the war wasn't just between species anymore. It was between the cold masks of power and the fire burning beneath. The storm howled outside like a living creature, but inside the crashed scout vessel, there was only silence. Captain Rain leaned over the broken console, trying to send a signal. The transmitter sparked, useless. They were alone, trapped on a frozen moon with no backup, no contact, and no guarantee of survival. Behind him, Commander Varel sat against the inner wall, her silver skin paler than usual, the wound on her leg wrapped tight. Even with pain, she stayed quiet, her posture strong. But her eyes followed Rain's every move. "How long do you think until rescue?" she asked. Rain glanced at the storm swirling outside the cracked view window. "Could be hours, could be days. Signals too weak to say." "Then we do what your kind does," she said. "We survive." He turned back toward her. "That's something we're good at." The vessel had one working thermal pod, designed For emergencies, it kept body temperature stable, but barely had room for two. Rain gestured toward it. You take the pod. You're injured, she replied. You need rest more than I do. You're bleeding. I'm breathing. That makes it your turn. Virel raised an eyebrow, then tilted her head slightly. Fine, but only if you join me. Body heat is more efficient than technology in a storm like this. Rain hesitated just a second, then stepped inside the pod. The door hissed closed, and the light inside dimmed to soft blue. They sat shoulder to shoulder, neither speaking for a moment. She finally broke the silence. Do you regret it? Coming to find me? No, Rain said. Do you regret calling? Me. Her answer came slowly. I regret waiting this long. Snow hammered the outer hull, the wind howling like wolves in the dark. Inside the pod, their breaths mingled. Rain could feel the warmth building between them, soft but real. I was raised to lead, Virel whispered. To be a weapon, not a woman. But when I'm near Y, forget how to be cold. Rain looked at her face, at the strength and fire. Behind those sharp alien eyes, then don't be cold, he said. Not with me. She turned to him, their faces inches apart now. I'm not your species, she said. I'm not built like your people. My blood is different. My laws are brutal. If they knew what I felt, they would exile me or worse. Rain leaned in, his voice low and steady. Let them try. She stared at him, eyes searching.
Right?
First time her hand reached out, fingers brushing against his chest. Not as a test, not as a challenge. As something else, something tender. I used to dream of Earth, she said. Not the cities. The green places, the forests Marcus spoke of. Rain smiled slightly. I'll take you there. When all this ends. Her voice dropped to a whisper. What if it doesn't end? Then we make our own world, he said. She let out a breath, like a weight had left her chest. Then she leaned against him, head resting near his shoulder. No one would believe this. She said softly, They don't have to, Rain answered. We know it's real. Hours passed in silence, wrapped in warmth and quiet breathing. The storm outside never stopped, but something inside both of them melted a wall that had stood for too long. A sudden sound broke the stillness. A beeping tone, soft but steady. Rain opened his eyes. The ship's emergency beacon had reactivated. Virel sat up. Rescue. He crawled out of the pod and rushed to the console. The signal was faint, but growing stronger. A patrol cruiser had entered orbit. His help was coming. But then his face changed. What is it? She asked. Rain turned to her, jaw clenched. It's not one of ours. It's a council warship. Virel's. Expression hardened. They're here for me, she said. They'll call it a rescue boot. It's an arrest. Rain looked at her, and we run. Run where? She asked. Anywhere they aren't? She stepped out of the pod. Still, limping but focused, they'll expect me to surrender, she said. But if I leave with you, they'll mark us both as traitors. Rain reached out, gripping her hand tightly. Then let's give them something worth fearing, he said. The cold commander and the warm-blooded soldier side by side. Her grip tightened. They stood together, watching the red signal grow. On the screen, the storm was over, but the real danger was only beginning. The dropship hovered low over the icy ground, its engines silent but deadly. It didn't flash warning lights. It didn't call for surrender. It just waited like a predator watching from the trees. Inside the wrecked vessel, Rain checked his weapon, though he knew it would be useless against council forces. Virel stood beside him, dressed in battle gear once more, her injury wrapped tight, her face unreadable. They sent one of their black-class ships, she said. That means, this isn't about diplomacy, Rain already knew. The moment he saw the council symbol on the scanner, he realized what this really was. Not a rescue, not a trial, a clean removal. They want you gone, he said, but they don't want witnesses. Virel gave a small nod. And if you're with me, they'll erase you too. Rain stepped forward. Then we leave together. Looked at him for a long moment. Rain, if I leave with you now, I can never go back. I'll lose my command, my name, my place in the stars. He reached into his coat and pulled out Marcus's journal, the same one she had given him. He handed it back. You already gave up your old self long ago, he said. This is who you are now. Varel took the journal, her fingers trembling for just a second. I dreamed of choosing my path, she whispered. But in our world, we don't choose. We obey. Rain's voice stayed calm. Then stop being theirs and be yours. The decision hung in the cold air between them. Outside, the dropship hissed as its door opened. A figure stepped out, tall, armored, glowing with authority. High Executor Venner, Varel's former mentor. He stood in the snow, voice booming without anger. Commander Varel, you will walk out alone. No harm will come to the human if you obey. Rain's jaw tightened. That's a lie. Varel didn't speak. She walked to the open hatch and stood at the edge. The wind blew her white cape behind her like wings. Her voice was calm, but her hand clenched into a fist. Executor Venar.
Ow.
She called out, Do you remember what you told me when I first earned my command? I told you to never let feelings guide your blade, he replied. And I followed that command, she said, till I realized my blade was no longer mine. The executor took one step forward. You are not thinking clearly, she raised her chin. I am thinking for the first time in years. He reached out a hand. Don't throw away your future for a human. She turned, glanced at Rain. I'm not throwing it away, she said. I'm choosing it. Before Venner could reply, she stepped back and pressed a hidden button on her armor. The beacon inside the pod sent out a flare-coded call not to her council, but to Rain's emergency team back on the cruiser from the clouds above. A silent, Earth recon craft broke through atmosphere. Its stealth systems disabled tracking. Its cannons were locked on the council ship. Rain smiled. Yes, we're both traitors now. The executor's voice filled the channel. You dare bring human fire into our skies? Varel responded coldly. You burned me first. Rain grabbed her hand, and they ran through snow, through smoke, till the Earth vessel opened its bay. Inside, his team stared wide-eyed as the infamous alien commander boarded their craft. No one spoke. Not a single soldier dared ask questions. As the ship rose into orbit, the council ship didn't fire. Not because they didn't want to, but because they didn't expect her to truly leave. She had always been loyal, until now. Inside the Earth cruiser, Varel stood before the admiral of the human fleet. She looked him in the eye without fear. I am Commander Varel, she said. I've abandoned my empire. Not for your approval, not for politics, for truth. That means prison. I accept it. The admiral looked at Rain. She's under your watch, he said. Oh, her fate will follow yours. Rain nodded. Then we stand together. Varel didn't flinch. In the silence that followed, two galaxies shifted, not because of war, but because someone finally made a choice not written in any law. The interstellar summit was silent when the door opened. Dozens of alien leaders turned their heads. Human generals sat straight. The Galactic Council's coldest eyes narrowed. No one expected her to walk through that door, not after everything. But she did. Commander Varel, no longer wearing her war cape or command crest, stepped into the central hall beside Captain Rain. No guards. No weapons. Just presence. Some gasped. Others whispered. The ice commander of Zalrin, the one who never bowed, never smiled, never broke, was walking into a human summit as if it were her own court. Rain led her to the center. The Earth Admiral stood. You're not on trial here, he said to her. But many believe you should be. I know, she replied, her voice steady. I chose to walk away from my council. I chose a path without chains. From the back, a Zalrin ambassador rose. She betrayed our fleet, gave secrets to a human, let emotion blind her judgment. Varel turned to him. I shared no secrets, but I did share something far more dangerous, trust. Gasps echoed again. Rain stepped forward. You asked for alliance. You begged for peace. But you punish those who build it with their hearts instead of politics. The Earth Admiral raised a hand. Then tell us, both of you, what now? Virel stepped closer, her eyes meeting the gaze of every species in the room. I have no home among my people. Any more, she said. You see me as broken, tainted, but I found something in this human that no one ever gave me before freedom. Not as a soldier, not as a tool, but as a woman. A murmur ran through the crowd. She kept speaking. I'm not here to beg for protection. I came to stand beside him, to say out loud what my world would silence. Rain took her hand. I left. My commission, he said, not because I lost faith, but because I finally found something worth defending outside the battlefield. An older alien rose, one of the elder judges of the summit. Dan, what are you two now? Soldiers, traitors, lovers? Rain looked at Virel. We are something you don't have a name for yet, he said. But one day your children will. Judge scoffed. So what do you ask for? A new empire? Virel shook her head. No empires, just the right to exist together. The room fell into silence again. Then, from the far corner, a voice spoke up. A younger alien girl, an assistant. To one of the diplomats stood with her hands trembling. I heard stories about her, she said. They said she was the coldest being in the stars. But now, she's the bravest one here. That single voice changed the air in the room. One by one, a few stood in quiet support. Not many. Not enough. The Admiral looked between them. Very well, he said. You'll be recognized as independent, no longer part of any fleet, but also no longer enemy. Rain nodded. Virel gave a slight bow, not for submission, but for acknowledgement. Later, aboard a private ship gifted by the summit, Rain stood by the window as stars streaked past. Virel entered quietly. She had changed no armor, no uniform, just a simple dark robe with silver markings. You still thinking about the vote? She asked. I'm thinking about you, he said. You stood in that room like you owned it. I didn't own it, she replied. I just stopped being afraid of it. She stepped beside him, eyes on the stars. Do you know what scares me now? She asked. Rain smiled. Tell me. She looked at him, voice soft. How easy it is to feel warm beside you. He reached for her hand. I never expected this. He said, I thought you'd be cold. She leaned in close. And you're still wrong. Outside their window, galaxies kept spinning. Wars still raged, councils still argued. But somewhere in the dark between stars, a new kind of flame had started, and this time, it wouldn't freeze.